Why was it you would not eat donuts anymore? Because you choose not to. Now it's your choice. Why is it you wouldn't drink soda anymore? Because you don't want to. It's your choice. I'm sorry, you decided not to. Do you want to drink soda? Do you want to eat donuts? Yes, but you set that limit on yourself. Now it's a life you've chosen. Now it's those parameters of monopoly, you've now set those up around your whole life. And now they can become meaningful, purposeful. But the important thing is that it's a choice that you make. You may have heard it once or twice before. Life is suffering. We don't get to choose not to suffer, but you can choose what you're going to suffer for. And hopefully that makes more sense now than it did back in July, the first time you heard it. When you choose to set these boundaries up around your life, yeah, you're suffering for not eating donuts and drinking soda. But if you do, you're going to suffer for drinking them, eating them. You don't get to choose not to suffer, but you can choose what you suffer for. And I said to you before, that's the freedom to choose your life. The freedom to choose your life is the freedom to discipline yourself and set up those parameters for yourself, and to choose how you decide to live, not how your emotions just direct you, not how your feelings take you, not how your appetites or your desires, because those are the things that will always get you into trouble. Many of you started the school year this year, this semester, like I'm hitting this, this year, man. I got straight A's. I'm going for this. I'm doing things right. My last semester here, my last school year here, I'm doing things right. And how many of us jumped off on that first assignment and did well on it? And then how many of us jumped on that second assignment and did well on it? How many jumped on the third one? I think I got 3 or 4 of the last one. Less than 10% of the class turned in the last assignment. Well, what happened between here and up here? Well, you know whose fault it is? I know whose fault it is. It's Scanlon's fault. He's too permissive. He doesn't make us work. He doesn't enforce so many rules. He doesn't even follow rules himself if you think about it. So therefore, it's okay for me to fail. Now, because we jump off at that beginning point, anybody can make their bed one day. Can you keep it made though? Anybody can clean their room one day, but can you keep it clean over time? Anybody can get into a relationship and maybe that honeymoon stage, but can you keep that honeymoon stage going for a long time? Anybody can start a new job and be excited to learn about it and develop some skills over it. Can you do that over time though? That's the hard part. The hard part is not doing things right the first time. The hard part is doing the tedious things, the little tiny things right over long periods of time. He had another saying that I liked a lot that I still maintain today. And by the way, as a human being, my coach is a terrible person. I can't stand the guy. But you can still derive these little life lessons from people, which is another really important skill to have. But he used to say, do the little things right, big things happen. Now, which direction do you do them in? Do the little things right, big good things happen. Do the little things wrong, big bad things happen. And so if you make your bed every morning, is there any harm in making your bed in the morning? Is there any harm in cleaning your room? Is there any harm in helping out with chores right now? There's no harm in any of that. But is there an upside? Yeah. And even if you think, but the upside's so small, what's the alternative? If you don't offer to help out around the house, if you don't offer to do chores, what's the downside to that? Well, you start to learn that you don't have to do those kinds of things and that other people will do them for you. What other areas of our life does that now carry over into? Does it also carry over into our life where we start blaming teachers because they let us go to the bathroom and that's why we're failing? Which, by the way, is something I did hear recently. One of my students was complaining that, and he wasn't like being angry about it, he was just like, I'm failing your class because you just like let me go to the bathroom. It's like, really? That's the reason for it? That's the lack of discipline that's there. And it isn't really that. It's that somewhere along the line we've learned that our success and failure in life is due entirely to circumstance or other people. We just had, I don't remember if I was talking about it in this class recently, but we had the election on Tuesday, and I think I was talking to a class on Monday. So it couldn't have been this class. So it had been one of my 10th grade classes, and I was saying that it doesn't really matter so much who sits in the White House. No matter who wins, half the country's gonna be disappointed. No matter who won, half we're gonna be disappointed. And I was saying, maybe it doesn't matter so much who's sitting in the White House. Maybe what really matters is who's sitting in your house. Are you disciplined, or do you have to have other people force you? Like, for example, with regards to philosophy, what do I gain from philosophy? One of the really, really great things I gain from philosophy is that I will do things without being commanded, that other people will only do if they're commanded by the law. Should you speed when you're driving the freeway? No. Why not? Oh, because the law will catch up, you get a ticket. No. Because you could kill somebody. Oh, but not me. Nah, that's what you're missing then. That's narcissism. Everybody in the world except for me. I'm the one pure exception. Now, freedom. What do we think of freedom as being? Freedom means I get to do whatever I want to do. No. If that's the case, you have to be really, really on top of the things that you want to do. What do you want to do? How many of us sit here and say, you know what I want to do today? Virtue. I want to do the right thing today. I want to be a good person today. I want to shuck away all of my destructive desires, and I want to focus my life singularly on being a good person, a right person, a virtuous person. Anybody ever wake up like that? Anybody ever sit there and twirl your mustache and think about the evil that you can do? Yeah, maybe Omar does. He has not a fake mustache, but it's the same idea. He sits there with no mustache and just imagines it being there. No, by and large, we don't plan to do terrible things. But think about where your desires lead you. On a simple sense, I have a plate of broccoli, I have a plate of chocolate. Where do your desires take you? I have going to bed early and staying up late. Where do our desires take us? I guess it depends on what we're staying up late for, but you get the idea. You're going to find that oftentimes our desires take us towards the things that the things that we desire are exactly the things that harm us. And so we have to be careful about those desires. Seek freedom, and we become captive of our desires. So I could do whatever I want to do. Imagine what you would do if there were no consequences. Not even just how you would eat, of course, but how you would behave. And I wonder if any of us would become better people by having no consequences. Because if that's the case, think about how it is that like dictators throughout history have behaved. Think about how even people in like massive positions of power. Think about how it is that they behave. Why do they behave that way? Because you have so much freedom after a while and you lack personal discipline that you can when you can do whatever you want to do. Think about what you would choose to do, because you can have so much freedom over time. That's like you've done everything else. That you sit there and you're like sitting in like your 9th Ferrari, and you're like, I have a lot of Ferraris. Let me crash this thing and see what happens. And you just slam the car into a wall, which happened, by the way. A few months ago, some guy in Germany had so many cars, and he slammed into a wall at high speed, and they're asking him why. He's like, I'd never done it before. That's one of the terrible things about having so much freedom and having so much money, that the limits are exactly the things that create meaning in life. I just think of it this way. If you come in and we're going to play Monopoly, lay out the board, and then as you're setting up the pieces, I start putting hotels on all the properties. I go, what are you doing? I'm putting hotels on the properties. Why? Because I want to win. Yeah, but those aren't the rules. I don't care. Putting them out. And oh yeah, really? Well then, and you start taking all the money out of the bank. And well, I'm going to take all the money then. Oh yeah, well if you're going to take all the money, and then after a while we just flip up the board, get pissed, and we walk away. Why? Because we're not playing by the rules. The rules are the very thing that make the game playable. The rules are the very thing that make the game worthwhile, meaningful. And the same is true about life. If you go through life and there are no rules, now then life loses its meaning, it loses its value, it loses its purpose. Imagine if you weren't going to live only 75 years or so. Imagine if I told you that you're going to live 1,000,000 years. How much does today matter? If I told you you only had a week left, how much does today matter? Of course, we don't know how much time we have left. But as soon as you erase those lines of you've got like a set period of time, all of a sudden the days don't mean anything, the hours don't mean anything. And so you have to have those kinds of limits. Now the question becomes, where do those limits come from? Do they come from yourself? And if you set those limits yourself, then the question is, do you abide by them? Or do you treat them more like guidelines? Never lie, never cheat, never steal, asterisk. Except when, because as soon as you impose those things, those boundaries on your life, as soon as you impose those boundaries on your life, you're one step closer to a meaningful life, and a purposeful life, a disciplined life. Because you don't set those things in place because you think it's going to be easy. Forget what's easy. Do what's right. Don't do what's simple. Don't do what you think is expedient. Do what's right, because you can't go wrong by doing the right thing. It's a logical contradiction. And so you seek freedom and you become captive of your desires. I want to do whatever I want to do. So I'm going to sit on my couch and eat a bunch of donuts and not exercise and never read anything and just become a big lump of crap on the couch. And all of a sudden now, how do you turn that around? I'm thinking of a friend of mine, by the way, when I say that. I really am. Except replace donuts. Well, no, you can keep the donuts, but also add alcohol. And this is a guy who's got some talent in some areas. And then recently he was saying that he hates this life that he's chosen for himself. And I'm like, then stop doing it. And again, that's his life. He has a girlfriend who works, and he doesn't. Why? Because he hates working. So he lives off of her. And she has a couple of children, and he takes care of them. Of course, they're at school all day. So he just basically sits on the couch, drinks, eats, watches television, and then since I met him and to where he is now, he's literally double his weight just from this. And he was telling me recently, crying, he's like, I hate my life. I hate this life I've chosen. So I asked him, why don't you stop choosing it? And I know it's not that easy, but it's just a question to get that thing going. I go, I asked him, why do you keep choosing it? And he said, it's too late now. It's too late. I'm like, dude, it's really not. It's not too late. I took his hand, and he's like, what are you doing? And I checked his pulse. I'm like, you still have a pulse. It's not too late. And he's like, yeah, I hear you, man. But the thing is that now he feels like he's captive. He's held captive by those desires to not work, to drink, to eat whatever he wanted to eat. Sounded good for a little while, like it always does. But then when you have to live with the consequences of doing whatever you think you want to do, or your desires, I guess. But discipline, man, that's where you find your liberty, because when you discipline yourself, others don't have to discipline you. Why is it that you won't eat, I don't know, whatever? Why is it you wouldn't eat donuts anymore? I don't know why I'm picking on donuts. I love donuts. Why was it you would not eat donuts anymore? Because you choose not to. Now it's your choice. Why is it you wouldn't drink soda anymore? Because you don't want to. It's your choice. I'm sorry, you decided not to. Do you want to drink soda? Do you want to eat donuts? Yes. But you've set that limit on yourself. Now it's a life you've chosen. Now it's those parameters of monopoly, you've now set those up around your whole life. And now they can become meaningful and purposeful. But the important thing is that it's a choice that you make. You may have heard it once or twice before. Life is suffering. We don't get to choose not to suffer, but you can choose what you're going to suffer for. And hopefully that makes more sense now than it did back in July, the first time you heard it. When you choose to set these boundaries up around your life, yeah, you're suffering for not eating donuts and drinking soda. But if you do, you're going to suffer for drinking them, eating them. You don't get to choose not to suffer, but you can choose what you suffer for. And I said to you before, that's the freedom to choose your life. The freedom to choose your life is the freedom to discipline yourself and set up those parameters for yourself, and to choose how you decide to live, not how your emotions just direct you, not how your feelings take you, not how your appetites or your desires, because those are the things that will always get you into trouble. Why'd you do that? I just wanted to. Did you think about it? Nah. So, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? That was not good. They're not all bangers, man. There's always next period.